Widow with 3 sons. Was rejected, the cowboy said. You're home now. The rejection letter hits the wooden counter like a gunshot. Sarah Beth Morrison's hands shake as she lifts the official document, her eyes scanning the typed words that might as well be a death sentence. The county clerk, a thin man with wire-rimmed glasses, watches her face crumble with something close to satisfaction. This can't be right. Her voice barely rises above a whisper. My husband filed this claim 2 years ago. Says here the signature's invalid. Posthumous claims require different documentation. The clerk's fingers drum against the counter. Should have done your homework, Mrs. Morrison. From the doorway, 3 pairs of eyes watch their mother's world collapse. Luke, 17 and trying to fill his father's boots, shifts his weight like he wants to charge forward. 10-year-old Caleb grips 8-year-old Matthew's shoulder, both boys sensing the danger without understanding it. What documentation? Sarah Beth's knuckles go white around the paper. I brought everything. The deed, the will, the original homestead papers. Not everything, apparently. The clerk slides another document across the counter. See this? County records show your husband never completed the mineral rights transfer. Land reverts to the state. That's impossible. Take it up with the courts if you want. Course, that'll cost money you probably don't have. Luke steps forward. Don't talk to her like that. The clerk's smile turns sharp. Boys got spirit. Too bad spirit don't pay legal fees. Sarah Beth's eyes move from the rejection letter to her sons' faces, then back to the clerk. Something shifts behind her expression, like steel sliding into place. The trembling stops. Her spine straightens. Who wants our land? Ma'am? I said, who wants our land? This isn't random bureaucracy. Someone's pulling strings. The clerk's drumming fingers pause. I just process paperwork, Mrs. Morrison. Don't shoot the messenger. The messenger usually knows who sent him. Her voice has changed, hardened into something her sons have never heard before. My husband died 6 months ago. Funny how this rejection comes through, right? When the boys and I are getting back on our feet. Matthew whispers to Caleb. Is Mama okay? Caleb doesn't answer because he's not sure. Their mother looks like someone else entirely, someone who might be dangerous. Sarah Beth folds the rejection letter with deliberate precision. I'll be back. Suit yourself. Office closes at 5. She turns toward her sons, and they see it too now. The woman walking toward them isn't the grieving widow who brought them here an hour ago. This woman has teeth, boys, she says quietly. We're going home to pack. Sarah Beth pulls dishes from the cabinet, wrapping each plate in newspaper with mechanical precision. The kitchen that raised 3 boys feels smaller now, like it's already shrinking away from them. Mama, where are we gonna go? Matthew's voice comes from the doorway. I don't know yet, baby. What about school? Caleb asks. I don't know. Luke appears behind his brothers, shoulders squared, but his hands shaking. We're not really leaving, are we? This is our house. Sarah Beth's hands pause on a coffee mug, the one with the chip on the handle that her husband refused to throw away. Luke, Dad said this land was ours forever. He promised. Your daddy said a lot of things. He meant it, though. He wouldn't lie about that. The walls seemed to pulse around them, holding decades of breakfast conversations and bedtime stories. Sarah Beth can almost hear her husband's voice echoing from the living room, reading newspaper headlines aloud, complaining about county politics. Mama, Matthew tugs at her skirt. Are you crying? No, honey. Just tired. Caleb presses his face against the window. There's cars outside. Sarah Beth drops the mug. It doesn't break. What kind of cars? Black ones. 3 of them, just sitting there. Luke moves to the window, his voice trying to sound deeper than 17 allows. Should I go talk to them? No. Sarah Beth's answer comes too fast, too sharp. You stay away from those windows. But if they want something, they want us gone, Luke. That's what they want. The house creaks above them, floorboards settling like sighs. Sarah Beth remembers her husband walking those same boards, checking on the boys every night before bed. The memory feels so real, she almost calls his name. Mama, the cars are moving! Caleb's breath fogs the glass. They're driving around the house. Like vultures, Luke mutters. Sarah Beth wraps the chipped mug carefully, then unwraps it. Her hands won't stop moving. Get away from that window, Caleb. Why won't you tell us what's happening? Luke's voice cracks on the last word, revealing the scared boy beneath his attempt at manhood. Because I don't understand it myself. The kitchen clock ticks louder than it should. Outside, engines idle in a slow circle, patient and predatory. Sarah Beth looks around at the half-packed boxes, at her son's frightened faces, at the walls that seem to be listening. Pack faster, she whispers. The knock on the door comes at noon, 3 sharp raps that silence the house. Sarah Beth peers through the curtain and sees Sheriff Morrison standing on her porch. Papers in his hand, badge glinting like a blade in the sunlight. Boys, go to your room. But Mama, now! Luke starts to protest, but something in her voice stops him. The 3 boys disappear upstairs, though Sarah Beth knows they'll listen from the landing. She opens the door. Morrison's smile spreads slow and hungry, the same expression her husband used to warn her about during late-night conversations she thought were just paranoia. Mrs. Morrison, beautiful day, isn't it? What do you want? Official business, I'm afraid. He holds up the papers. Eviction notice. County says you've got 72 hours to vacate the premises. 72 hours. That's generous, considering you're trespassing on state property. Sarah Beth's hands clench at her sides. This is our home. Was your home. Things change when folks can't prove ownership. From upstairs comes the sound of footsteps. Luke appears on the landing, his face flushed with anger. You can't kick us out. Morrison's eyes shift to the boy, amused. Son, I can do whatever the law allows. And the law says your family's got no claim here. Luke takes a step down the stairs. My dad filed those papers legal. Your dad's dead, boy. Dead men don't file anything. Sarah Beth moves between Morrison and the staircase. Luke, go back upstairs. Listen to your mama, son. She's got sense. Luke's fists clench, his whole body vibrating with rage. Don't talk about my dad. Morrison chuckles. Your daddy was a dreamer. Thought he could fight City Hall, protect his little kingdom. Look how that worked out for him. The words hit Sarah Beth like ice water. The hunger in Morrison's eyes isn't just greed. It's satisfaction. The look of a man who's already won. You knew, she whispers. Knew what? About the papers. About the claim. You knew before my husband died. Morrison's badge catches the light again as he adjusts his belt. I know lots of things, Mrs. Morrison. I know your husband was asking too many questions. I know he was digging where he shouldn't have been digging. Luke starts down the stairs again, but Sarah Beth grabs his arm. Luke, no, smart woman. Keep that boy in line, or someone else might have to. Morrison tips his hat, the gesture mockingly polite. 72 hours, Mrs. Morrison. After that, this becomes a law enforcement matter. He turns and walks away, whistling. Sarah Beth watches him go, her mind racing through every conversation, every warning, every suspicious detail about her husband's death 6 months ago. The door closes. With a sound like a coffin lid, the dust from Morrison's patrol car hasn't settled when another truck appears on the horizon. Sarah Beth watches from the window as an old Ford pickup approaches, moving slower than the sheriff's aggressive pace. The truck is weathered gray, like it's seen more miles than promises. The man who steps out wears a hat that's shaped by years of weather and worry. He moves with the careful grace of someone who's carried other people's burdens, his boots crunching on gravel as he approaches the porch. Something about his presence makes the air feel less heavy. Ma'am, he touches his hat brim. Name's Clay. I knew your husband. Sarah Beth's hand tightens on the doorframe. A lot of people say they knew him. Tom Morrison talked about you and the boys. Said you had fire in you, wouldn't break easy. Tom's dead. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry for that. Matthew appears beside Sarah Beth, then suddenly breaks away from her side and runs toward the stranger. Sarah Beth's heart lurches, but Clay kneels down as the 8-year-old approaches, his weathered hands gentle as Matthew stops just in front of him. You're the cowboy, Matthew says, his voice full of wonder. What cowboy's that, son? The one Daddy said would come. He said if anything happened, a cowboy would come help us. Sarah Beth's breath catches. Clay's eyes find hers over Matthew's head, and she sees something there that Morrison's badge never held. Not power over others, but power shared, offered freely. Your daddy was a good man, Clay tells Matthew. Smart, too. He knew things might get difficult for you folks. Luke appears in the doorway, suspicious. What do you want? Same thing your daddy wanted. To keep this family safe. Nobody can do that, Caleb says from behind Luke. The sheriff's got papers. Clay stands, his hand briefly resting on Matthew's shoulder. Papers can be challenged. Men like Morrison bank on folks not knowing their rights. Sarah Beth studies his face, searching for deception and finding none. You're not from around here. No, ma'am, but I've been places where good people get pushed around by bad ones. Doesn't sit right with me. Why should we trust you? Clay removes his hat, revealing gray-streaked hair and eyes that have seen too much. Because your husband asked me to look after you if something happened to him. And Tom Morrison was the kind of man whose last request you honor. Matthew tugs at Clay's jacket. Are you staying? If your mama will have me. Clay spreads the documents across the kitchen table as darkness falls outside. Sarah Beth stares at the papers, her hands trembling as the truth arranges itself in black and white. Your husband found these mineral survey reports, Clay says quietly. Lithium deposits, worth millions. Tom never said anything about lithium. He was protecting you. Look at the date on Morrison's signature. Sarah Beth's finger traces the sheriff's name, dated 3 days before her husband's accident. He knew, Morrison knew before Tom died. More than knew. Your husband was going to expose the whole operation. Morrison couldn't let that happen. Luke peers over his mother's shoulder. You're saying the sheriff killed Dad? I'm saying your daddy didn't drive off that cliff by accident. The headlights appear first, cutting through the kitchen window like searchlights. Then the sound of engines, multiple vehicles surrounding the house. Mama? Matthew's voice comes from the living room. There's lots of cars outside. Sarah Beth moves to the window. Morrison stands beside his patrol car, but he's not alone. 3 other men hold rifles, their faces hidden by the darkness. Time's up, Mrs. Morrison. Morrison's voice carries across the yard. Come out peaceful, or we'll come in and get you. Clay checks his rifle. Back door's clear. I can get you and the boys out. No. Sarah Beth, there's 4 of them. I said no. Something shifts in her voice, hardens like steel cooling. I'm done running from him. Mama, please, Caleb whispers. She turns to her sons and they see it in her eyes. The woman who opened the county clerk's rejection letter is gone. In her place stands someone who won't bend. Boys, go upstairs. Get your father's shotgun from the bedroom closet. Sarah Beth, I won't let him win. Not after what he did to Tom. The front door explodes inward. Morrison enters first, his badge gleaming in the lamplight. His men fanning out behind him, empty house by morning. I said, this is my house, not any more. Clay steps beside Sarah Beth, rifle ready. Sheriff, you're trespassing. Morrison laughs. On state property? I don't think so. On a crime scene, Sarah Beth says, holding up the documents. State authorities are already on their way. It seems they're very interested in how you acquired mineral rights to land you don't own. Morrison's smile falters. Give me those papers. No. The standoff stretches like wire ready to snap. Then Morrison nods to his men and everything happens at once. Gunfire erupts. Glass shatters. Clay shoves Sarah Beth toward the stairs as flames bloom from overturned lamps. Above them, Luke appears with the shotgun, his face grim with purpose. The boy has become a man in the space of a heartbeat. The house burns around them, but Sarah Beth doesn't run. She fights, standing in the flames like something born from fire itself. Watching Morrison's world collapse as the state police sirens wail in the distance. The new foundation sits exactly where the old house burned, fresh concrete curing in the morning sun. Sarah Beth watches Luke and Clay frame the walls, their hammers keeping steady rhythm against the silence that once felt like defeat. Hand me that level. Son! Luke passes the tool to Clay, their movements synchronized like they've worked together for years instead of weeks. The boy has grown into his father's shoulders, his hands steady and sure. Higher on your end, Clay calls out. Like this? Perfect. In the garden, Caleb and Matthew dig furrows for winter vegetables, their small hands learning the weight of soil and seed. The earth here is rich, darker than Sarah Beth remembered, like it's been waiting for this moment. Mama, look how deep we got. Matthew calls, dirt streaking his face. That's good, baby. Real good. The state restoration papers sit framed inside Clay's truck, official proof that the land belongs to the Morrison family, that the mineral rights were obtained through fraud and murder. Sheriff Morrison's name appears in the court documents too, along with his new address at the state penitentiary. Clay. Sarah Beth approaches the frame where he's teaching Luke to square a corner. Yes, ma'am? I need to thank you. For everything. For staying when you could have moved on. Clay sets down his hammer and removes his hat, the gesture as natural as breathing. No need for thanks. There is, though. You didn't have to help us rebuild. Your husband asked me to look after you folks. Man's word is his bond. Luke glances between them, then returns to his work, giving them space for words that need saying. You could go now. The land's ours legally. Morrison's locked up. We're safe. Clay's eyes move across the foundation, the rising walls, the boys learning to tend soil that their father died protecting. You were always home, Sarah Beth. Sometimes it just takes burning down the lies to see it. The hammer rhythm resumes. Caleb and Matthew race to see who can plant the most seeds. The new house rises from ashes that once held fear, but the fear is gone now, replaced by something stronger. Sarah Beth watches her family work the land that belongs to them, finally and forever, and knows that some homes are built not just with wood and nails, but with the courage to fight for what's right.